Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. And I hope everyone is doing well. My apologies for last week. I tried to get in touch, but we could not do it because I was on vacation and someone just took my paperwork out and moved it.
No.
Huh? Why'd you take my
You don't
paperwork
need
out,
crib
Chris?
notes. Wing it.
I need
Wing
crib
it.
notes, bro.
Wing it.
I'm not like you.
Wing
I
it.
like to be professional. So first of all, hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing awesome as always. Welcome back to Security Tales. Today we're talking about the tragic case of Massachusetts State Police recruit Delgado Garcia. It's been almost 6 months since he passed away during the training exercise, or possibly a little longer. Am I right, Chris?
Correct. Yeah,
September, I think it was, right? And we want to keep our listeners in the loop about what's going on. So first, we're going to start out with that really fast. So I know that I've done a little research, and I'm pretty sure you obviously did, Mr. Kasha, Chris, there. So recently, I know for a fact, three senators here in Massachusetts reached an attorney general, Andrea Joy Campbell, looking for more information on the investigation. They sent a letter asking for updates on where things stand and what the preliminary findings are. Right? You want to touch base with any of that stuff? Because I know you've been dying to basically research this and keep us, because I want to stay focused on that myself.
I mean,
so where we at?
She sent a letter. I think she can make a phone call and get all the answers she wants, but that's beside the point. Like I said, 6 months is ridiculous to investigate something like this, especially when I think more than likely, because it was years ago, it's videotaped. I show you a videotape of something that happened. I give you say, hey, in a week, give me a report. Tell me what happened.
So for some people that don't really like, they just started picking this up or understanding, you were also a DI in the academy. That's why it's videotaped. Right. How many years were you a DI in the academy for?
I just did one class, which was good because the second class is bad. But I did one class.
Hold on, you can't just leave that open. You can't say the first class was good, then the second class was bad. How are you going with that?
Well, the second class just happened to be the infamous toilet class.
Oh,
so I missed out on the shrapnel from that because that would have been.
But you gotta. Some people aren't gonna know what you mean by the infamous toilet thing.
Well, it was alleged that the drill instructor may have stuck a trainee or two's head into the toilet to see if it was clean. But
okay.
In his defense,
allegations.
He told them to clean it and came back 20 minutes later and it still wasn't clean. So it's, how many chances do you get?
Okay. Anyway, okay.
That was on the Herald. And that was on the front page of the Herald, I think, for 3 days in a row.
For something that I find ridiculous over someone dying,
right,
that stays on the news for over 3, 4, 5 weeks on it, and they'll make it such a big deal about the claim of the person's head being in a toilet, unlike someone that obviously I look at it as murder, to be honest with you, because I don't look to go into an academy class and expect to die. And no thing does it say when I'm signing up for the academy that I'm signing up at that time that it's a risk, life-threatening thing, right?
Correct.
So to me, it's like going to the academy, because I went to an academy. And was it a little brutal? The answer is no. I had to prepare myself for the runs, the push-ups, the sit-ups, kept my mouth quiet. When the DI told me to move, I moved. That's what I figured that I was supposed to do.
Hard.
But also what I also found out was Senator Michael Moore pointed out that it's really important for the family to know what happened. If there were an outdated training methods involved, we got to make sure no other recruits are at risk. Do you believe that the training has changed over the years? Like, just from your standpoint of it when you were there? Because I know back when we hung out when we were kids, and please don't hold me to this because I forget, but there was something that happened to a recruit in the State Police Academy when we were kids, and it was a big thing, right?
It was something in the Agawam Academy.
Agawam, that's what it was. It was Agawam.
I think it was like hydration related and all that other stuff. So
it did have a Mass State Police individual did die, and it was because of hydration. I remember that. Okay, all right,
Yeah, and I
but
believe that was a local. Agawam Academy is local guys, not state.
okay. So I know from what I've been researching outside of the questions and everything that's been going on with the inquiries, Enrique's family, especially his stepdad, Jose Perez, has been feeling frustrated and overwhelmed right now for the lack of communication on what's going on, right? They're still trying to piece together what happened, knowing only that Enrique suffered a serious head injury and ended up with bruises. I keep hearing so much mixed things that come back to me. First, I heard he had a broken neck. Then I heard he had an orbital socket broke. And then I hear he had his teeth knocked out. Then I just logistically, I really can't piece all the stories together. Do you have any?
I have nothing. I mean, and it's crazy. I mean, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. If anyone listened or was there,
Yeah.
we can't even conceive how that could happen. In a 1 minute round with headgear and big gloves. You can't even conceive how that could possibly happen to somebody. That
I could
kind of
definitely see
damage.
a bruise though.
Right.
All right, even with headgear on, you
Yeah,
could
well,
possibly get a nose break or get an eye socket bruise. But we do agree, unless I'm knocked out standing and I fall directly on my head and break it. Like, what are you actually standing on, by the way? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
They might have recently, and I don't quote me, they might have recently gotten actually a ring there. So they've actually might have.
Okay.
But when we did it, we just had the guys stood around us. So there's like whatever 30, 40 guys watching it happen. They stood around you and you just did it on a mat. And you just stayed within the parameters of the mat, and that's all it was. They might have upped it and gotten a ring there yet. I thought I might have saw a ring there at one time, but to make it a little bit more fancy. But it's inconceivable. And I don't know if you saw this, but and our listeners who did or didn't hear 2 weeks ago, but I'm at home after our podcast watching the news, and I look up and I see Delgado Garcia mentioned. And so, not saying that we put this out there, but the same day of our podcast, NECN and Channel 5 both
doesn't matter how it gets out there, as long as they're moving forward, we're looking into it, and I'm kind of happy that
maybe somebody's listening.
Yeah, well, hopefully they are, even though they know I'm not articulate, but hopefully they're getting my lingo. But also, what I also was looking into was that they had the guy from Fred Taylor from NWACP, right? And I believe he's been calling on transparency is one of the things that I've noted. And he said it doesn't look good that there's been so little incoming or out. And obviously he's hoping for some type of a resolution or something coming in. I'm just so confused, Chris, that not to change the case up, but let's speak about that female for a second that got prosecuted for killing the Boston police, supposedly killing them. It just seems like any channel I turn on, this is what I'm seeing. Some individual was also killed just recently in the academy, and I don't see any of this. I'm not gonna lie. I think that this is something greater that should be attended to immediately. And we understand what's going on. She might have been falsely indicted in a case. And I'm glad that things are being opened up right now. But don't you believe that this should have some type of immediate, valuable sight occurring? Like,
this should have had a resolution. I mean, I spelled it within a month, right?
You think over a month?
That it should have had a resolution, because they slow and they drag their feet for whatever reason. But a month, because also it's not. And I simplified it. Yeah, all right. I'm going to watch the video and it's pretty self-explanatory. And then also I'm going to have to interview a certain amount of people. Sometimes it's like 30, 40 people there because it's with your whole platoon. I imagine you're not going to have to interview everybody. You're going to have to interview, a couple of them, and the stories aren't going to change. And whatever their story is, it obviously has to reflect what the videotape is.
Right? Absolutely.
So
I don't, it's, I'm going to say one thing. We're going to keep every week. I want to open up with the discussion on this. I want to pound this into the ground, because I'm personally disappointed in how this is being handled. And also being a minority and seeing it's somebody that's minority, I would hate to say that is this the reason why. And I would hate to see this is the reason why. And I don't think turning around and, you know, on someone's deathbed to turn around and say, hey, guess what? You're now a state police officer doesn't accommodate anything. To me, brings no value of that. Hey, should his family, right? His family's got to get the money for the rest of their lives or whatever it goes.
I assume so. I don't.
You assume so?
Logistically,
Yeah.
but that's.
It's just,
I mean, and that was just whatever, you know, for the family, political, call it whatever you want.
I don't even remember the services being placed on the news or anything.
No, I mean, they were on the news.
Was the
Yeah.
service on the news?
And it was, you know, part of the pro. I mean, it was out in Worcester, so
Okay.
You know, secondary news market, if you will. But no, it was on the news. It was out there. If you Google it, you'll come up with all kinds of stuff. But you know, like you said, you know, if he got hurt really bad and couldn't work and had to retire, that's pretty important.
Exactly.
Big difference between hurt really bad and can't work and whatever to, you know, died. I mean, it's
being dead. That's a big feat. Yeah. You know, those are the positions that you guys obviously would never want to happen, but you take that responsibility after the academy, and you know that you did 26 years on, and you've dealt with multiple situations where your life could have ended, and you expect that because that's the job you took, not during the academy where you're being trained. So anything else on that before we close? Nope, okay, so on behalf of me and Chris and Security Tales, we want to extend our deepest condolences once again to the Enriquez family and the Massachusetts State Police. This is a tragic loss, and our hearts go out to them during this tough time. And obviously, you can never get over someone you love, and he's touched a lot of hearts of everyone, non-police departments and just local citizens, as anyone else's death. We do wish that and hope that this comes to fruition and the truth comes out. And I don't even know, you know, but we will keep talking about this and opening it up for at least 10 to 20 minutes in dedication to him until something's resolved. Anything else on that, Chris?
No, again, our condolences, because he was a brother trooper, and it's a terrible tragedy losing somebody so young. I can't even imagine it. If I lost my own child, I just would never be the same. And the other thing is, I don't know, hopefully anybody listening, anybody knows his father or mother, we'd love to talk to him. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to get them on, and if they want to say what they want to say, it's definitely an indoor conversation. Nobody heard that bang. It's me with my new podcast holder. So well, let's move on. Let's move on to something that me and Chris are going to talk about. I just want to show Chris something that I have on today. Well, in case you can't read it, D.O.G.E, baby.
Well, I can say one good thing about that shirt.
I look good in it.
No, you'll be able to know what the abbreviation.
Listen,
means.
bro, you can't rag on me on that. It's already fixed.
Yeah,
I made a mistake, everyone. Let's just leave it at that. It's just a little slight mistake. Yeah. So first, listen, I wrote this little summary thing out, and I thought it was like a little Boston kind of slang. Check out how I start this one.
Wait a minute. You know what? I've been listening to the listeners, and I think they want you to read from the heart and not.
This is the heart.
Yeah, but no,
this is the heart, bro.
No, you're
listen.
You're reading a prepared statement. What are you buying?
How's it prepared?
Because you wrote it beforehand.
That's prepared by me.
Yeah, it's a prepared statement. I mean,
so listen.
Come on, we want you to wing it off your heart. We want
that's not going to happen.
Speak from your heart.
Listen.
Are you Biden? Do you need a teleprompter?
Because I wish I had the money for a teleprompter, I'd get it. So listen, step one. Unlike Chris, I'm not retired. So when my mind races, I have like 60 things going on. So Chris is yelling at me today once again by making a statement, you're late again. And I don't know what that word is, but my wife knows it when I say it. I said, I'm never late, but it's something like I'm on time, but something. I can't, but I'm going to come up with it. Next podcast, I'll have it. No, let's get back to this. Besides Chris always talking smack. All right. Now picture this, a sunny Boston day, the aroma of fresh clam chowder wafting through the air. I had to look up because I wasn't sure if it was wafting or waffing. So that's what confused me. All right. Right. And bustling downtown filled with passionate locals, just like our city. This story is packed with intrigue and unexpected twists. D.O.G.E claims to have recovered a whopping $1.9 billion. that's the previous administration headed by Joe Biden allegedly misplaced. Can you believe it? That's a lot of dough, especially when you think of all lobster rolls that we could fund. So, Chris, that's what my beginning statement that I want to talk. So, Chris, what do you think about that? Now, don't jump ahead because I got it all written down.
Right,
I have my template set up, dude.
I'm sure you have a joke lined up in there somewhere. So,
Do I have jokes? I don't think I had jokes this one.
I'll have to lay it up for you.
But it might be.
All right.
Might be.
What do I think? Again, I'm a supporter of it.
A supporter of what though?
Of DOGE and finding waste. I mean, we've heard our whole life the amount of waste, and this. So
hold on, I want to ask you one question. So one of the things that, because you just said you were a firm supporter of it, the past presidents had DOGE, but it was just called something else. Okay, correct?
Correct. Obama and Clinton.
Yes, Obama, Clinton, and then I believe it was somebody else too. But it's always changed the word that it stood for. So when people are stating that it's something new, it's not actually new. It's each president just named it something else. Okay, so correct. I just wanted to make sure. Now that wasn't even in my notes, but I just remembered reading it somewhere. Huh?
All right. So, firm believer in it. Is a massive amount of waste, etc. All that good stuff. Not skeptical, but I'd like to see a little bit more firm knowledge of the numbers. I think the numbers may be a little bit inflated, just because I want to see, this is here. Give me the breakdown of give me the breakdown of the 1.9 billion. Don't just throw out a number. I want to see a breakdown of where it all. But
didn't they give you the breakdown? Didn't it say 2 million was found here, 1.4 was found here? They did basically say where this money's coming from. The only one that they didn't was that 4.71 that they're still investigating on right now.
Well, I would like to, yes, they threw out 20 examples.
Yeah.
I want to see all 150.
You want an index account.
I want to see every single one. And the other thing is the big thing, the Social Security thing, with the people, people over 130, 140. Do I believe it's possible? Absolutely. But again, I'd like to see a definitive breakdown of it, and I'd like to see, as hopefully as we all would, like to see where those fucking checks went, and whoever has been cashing those checks for all these years, restitution and jail time.
Well, there's a lot behind it, and like I was looking at it as almost like the movie Town. I was thinking of it as like a Boston movie where the hero uncovers a hidden stash of cash. Only this time we're talking about the government funds, right? Only this time, according to D.O.G.E, they found that 1.9 billion of HUD, okay, HUD money was just recovered after being misplaced during the Biden administration due to a broken process, right? So when you were asking, that was one of the things that I found, that you're talking about 1.9 was to HUD. This money was supposed to be for financial services, but was, as they say, no longer needed. So, we could turn around and say right there, that's where they found that financing, but they never used it. For instance, there was another thing that I had read, and you might want to correct me, or if somebody's online, you could correct me, please. Write, text, whatever the heck you got to do. But I do recall there was also a donation, and I forget the sum of it, was sent out to Canada for this bus manufacturing building thing, correct? And they were supposed to build these electric buses and stuff for cities. I forget where, Georgia or whatever. And I do apologize. I should have written it down. But after they received the money, they went bankrupt. And all these people are waiting for their buses. So
yeah, where'd the money go? I think I sent you one the other day. I saw it on the news. I saw you kind of have to write it down, but I think 300 million to some Palestinian concrete company that actually
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was actually the ones who built the tunnels.
Built the tunnels here?
No, built the tunnels over in Gaza. So it's 300 million to a concrete company, and they're the ones who built the tunnels under Gaza where the fighters are using to transport and store their weapons and store our hostages. But
I'm going to have to write that down and take a look at that. I didn't know.
So, and again, we don't know where the money goes, but we should, and the government should.
Exactly.
And, and I don't care if he finds $1 billion in waste. It's still,
Still $1 billion.
Yeah,
They're
it's-
saying what 10 to 20% of the deficit's being founded right now.
Yeah.
They're also saying
it's a lot of money.
this recovery process, right, highlights the importance of accountability and efficient financial management. Right, we both know that, and people want to argue within the government's operation. And their biggest thing is they got a problem with it because it's being headed by Elon, right? And I hope I can call you Elon. But these funds were originally allocated to the Department of Housing and Urban, right, Development, but had become a point of contention due to procedural inefficiencies, is what they're claiming right now. But they hold the money. So I find that pretty interesting. HUD Secretary Scott Turner worked alongside with D.O.G. to rectify the issue. So that's great. You're having someone internally now saying, hey, guess what? You're right. Leading to the de-obligation of the funds. Now, what does that actually mean? I'm trying to figure out when you use the term
I think
de-obligation
they're gonna, take the funds back.
to the government.
Right.
So they're saying we no longer feel the obligation to hold the funds. We're gonna send it back.
Well, we're gonna send it back, and they're gonna allocate it for hopefully something more useful.
Okay, because I just wanted
No, go
because
ahead.
that's exactly what the end statement of what this guy was saying, Turner. He says, which now has made it available for other uses of by the U.S. Treasury. Can you imagine the ripple effect in plain English? Just a ripple effect that this could have on the future government process because of that. So you're allocating, all right, funds to all these different locations and areas, and because of the federal funding that goes on, you're allowed to have this X amount of money. So now you don't use that money, right? Is that person obligated to give it back, or do they still use it for something later? What do you feel?
Well, they're going to use it for something later and spend it before the budget runs out. Because, in a quick analogy, you have a checking account, you have a savings account, and you want to buy something. If you have the money, you buy it. If you don't, you don't. Whereas the government, if they're given whatever, your department's given $10 billion, you better spend every penny of that $10 billion.
But what if you don't?
But that's the sad part. That's how government works. You say, hey, I did a really good job. I only spent $8 billion and I got the job done. Give me some accolades, give me a promotion, give me some love. And they're like,
but how about the money that sits in there? What goes on with that money? Because
so whatever you say, your calendar year is starts July 1st. A lot of government calendar years start July 1st. That money's still there July 1st, they take it back.
Who takes it back? The government?
The government would take it back. So, because remember, it's your department.
So how could this stay that long? $1.9 billion without them taking it back?
It's got up to a year. And then I'm sure there's loopholes to everything. They can do what they want. But you running your department, you're a government employee, you're running your department. You don't spend all your money. Now you go to write your budget for next year. You're going to want 10 billion plus 5%. No, they're going to give you 8 billion, maybe plus 5%, because you proved I can do it with 8. So why are we going to give you 10?
Huh? I didn't think of that.
So if they don't spend the money, they don't get the same money next year. And when you write a budget, whether you need the money or not, so say, for example, you were the 10 billion guy and you spent all your money, but you kind of wasted a lot of it at the end. You're going to write your budget adding in 5% or 10%, because that's what they do. So you're almost penalized for not spending the money, and they don't care if you waste it. It happens all the time. It happens even in state government and city government. They're like, we need to spend this money. We need to find something to buy. Which is
so here's something though. After I kept researching it, right, that not to stir the pot even more, but I found it just a day before this announcement. Turner unveiled the formation of D.O.G.E. D.O.G.E. task force within HUD, bro, to ensure greater financial oversight and efficiency. In a video posted on X, right? Who owns X?
Mhm.
All right. So the video is posted on X. He and Faze, we will be detailed and deliberate about every dollar spent in that situation. So I do find that pretty interesting that the individual that actually worked for that department is so eagerly willing to work and, in the rural and urban communities across America. He also revealed that his team had identified an impressive $260 million, Chris, in savings just 2 days prior. That's no small feat.
No. And I don't know who the guy is who runs HUD. I don't know if he's a
Turner.
Democrat.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know if he's a Democrat.
We do
Republican, or whatever.
apologize, Turner.
But it doesn't matter. But whether he's doing it because he wants to or he has to, keep in mind he has to do it. It's kind of like if his mindset is I want to keep the waste and I don't really care. It doesn't matter. He's being told by his boss this is what he's doing. So either way, the end result is good. But he's doing it maybe because he wants to, but definitely because he has to. Yeah, because
but it gets even more intriguing though, right? So Zeldin, right? Zeldin that was doing the further investigation on this, that under the Biden administration, the EPA, which is your favorite, the EPA had spent $160 million here we go, to the Canadian electric bus manufacturer. That's who it was. I'm sorry. Which has since declared bankruptcy. The entire amount of the provided up front, right? And this is what confuses me because you just said it. We supply the amount that's needed and then they can apply for more. But I have it here even because I researched because I wanted to see the amount, but I wanted to hear it from you in order for me to say it. But it says that they provided up front rather than being distributed as school buses were being produced. So they were paid in full for something that they didn't produce or even have ready to go that was needed at that time. So now I believe it's raising serious concerns over financial mismanagement, right? These revelations underscores DOGE's roles in uncovering and rectifying physical inefficiencies as the agency continues its efforts to ensure responsibilities in government spending. So it's interesting because during what you were just speaking, you were saying they allocate this certain amount of money and sufficiently, if you don't use it, you get it kicked back. But here's a company that was provided full funds for a product to manufacture. Have you ever heard of that?
No. Do you have a date by chance?
That I do not have dated.
Yeah. So I'm honestly not sure whether or not that money will come back, whether or not they got the money.
But since you're asking,
and they wasted several months, and it went to bonuses. It went to pay off their suppliers that they owed money because they were obviously bankrupt, or maybe who knows where it went, which is the messed up part. But and the only reason I was asking the date because Biden was on his last month in office was giving away money left and right, including $2 billion to that lady. I think that rep down in Georgia to her agency. And before they gave Audrey. Before that, they gave her $100. So the money that she got before was 100 when Biden was on his way out the office.
So when was he out the office? Because I could tell you right now.
Well, he knew in November, but it was out in January.
So you ready, Chris?
Yeah, December.
On November 21st, the court issued an initial order in the case. On October 11th, 2024, they extended the delay. So it was within the month of November they claimed bankruptcy.
Yeah, he just gave money to everybody. Just gave it all away. And he's everyone thinks he's nice, and I can't stand this. Love everybody. That we try to be nice and give you hugs, but he's a vengeful fuck.
Who's this?
Biden.
Oh,
because he ruined things. He's leaving the office, so crying and pouting, he ruined things, and frankly, it seems like they didn't get along, Biden and Harris, but he really. And thank God, I guess, but he screwed her on the way, not even on the way out the door, by not
supporting her.
Well, and by not he supported by not stepping down early enough.
Do you believe he supported her? I didn't see any broadcasts or anything with him saying he just stepped down.
I mean, he did to a certain extent. He gave her whatever full faith, but something her or the Speaker of the House or the Senate, the Congress, frankly, they should have. I figured they were going to do this. And I was very surprised that they didn't. They were going to a vote of non-confidence, get him out of office to get her into office like a year ago was what I thought they were going to do. But by him stepping down so late, it only gave her whatever 3 months to campaign as president nominee, as opposed to she could have had 6-7 months of campaigning.
Yeah.
So he kind of did her a disservice.
Did dirty.
Yeah. And the insiders, anybody around him, her and everybody else knew that his mind wasn't right. So it's their own fault for not taking him down, having him taken out of office. And it's their own fault for covering it up because, they covered it up. And if anybody thinks that after, that his mind has been right for 2 years, if not more, they're wrong based on the debate, based on the silly things that he's done. So they basically covered it up and she covered it up to her, unfortunate.
He might be the greatest guy out on the streets and walking the beat, doing whatever. But we both agree he definitely couldn't be able to do another term in office, or that he was successful in his past term.
No.
Did he do some things that were great? Sure. Did he do a lot that was bad? Absolutely. Is there a lot of money missing that's undisclosed where we'll never know? Possibly. Hopefully we will. But also what I have was additionally, the Department of Government Efficiency, did I say that right? D.O.G.E. I wanted to make sure I got it right. Announced that it found 4.7 trillion in untraceable. Okay. So it's funny because that's what we were just discussing in treasury payments that were missing on a critical tracking code. Now, once again, someone that everyone doesn't like, but I respect and like. And to be honest with you, I shouldn't say I respect him as a person because I don't know him that way, but I respect him on his commitment and goals of building that what he built for himself. If you read much about him, how he lived in a little apartment with his brother, and they had nothing, and they would share showers in the YMCA. Because they couldn't afford anywhere to wash. Like, these people are thinking these guys were born into the cash. No, they self-funded themselves and built. So I do respect Elon on stuff. So some people should read more about him. But Elon Musk's non-official advisory body tasked with slashing bureaucracy and reining in the federal spending. And he stated this in transaction. We're missing the treasury account symbol. So I find that pretty interesting how you take $4.7 trillion and you don't code it. You don't put the symbol. Now, to me, that's red alert. Like, why aren't you putting the codes in? But yeah, you're the president of the United States and you have the treasury overseeing this, and no one's noticing, no one's putting the codes in that you need to basically substantiate the money that's being taken, right? An identification code used to classify all transaction of federal government, a classified code. So that's almost like your routing number for your bank account, or I should say your account number, right? You're taking the money out, it's tracking where that money's coming from. So I find it pretty interesting. $4.7 trillion you'd never coded. Pretty interesting. So what I wanted to say was Wisconsin Representative Mark Pocan has pointed out that the sum of allegedly untraceable government transaction conveniently, because I like to research things and see exactly what's going on. This guy, Pocan, right, says it mirrors 4.5 trillion, right, in federal spending that was also deemed questionable. This correlation raises further questions about the accountability and transparency of the federal expenditures. So I was kind of like just thinking to myself, does that mean that, for instance, and correct me if I'm wrong, because once again, it's just me talking, is you have someone like Pelosi. She makes how much dollars per year?
I don't know, probably 100, 150.
So we'll say 150, right? I think it was 148,000.
Yeah.
All right. Now, if you backtrack her to see her net worth over the years and stuff like that, how do you become a net worth of $500 million? How do you end up having the ability, for instance, Navita? I love Navita. I had money, made great money on the stock market with Navita. And then she all of a sudden pulls the rug and says, I'm pulling my money. And then all of a sudden the stock collapsed. How does one person like that control so much? Do you believe Now, this is just me just insinuating or just saying it. Do you believe some of that money goes to the upper echelons of people for investment purposes and they're getting back kicks like from that?
Um, I believe that she's keeping the money, and
She's keeping the money from where though?
well, like say for example, so she buys stock. She has insider trading information, basically what it is. So someone's telling her that buy this, and then it goes up. Someone's telling her to sell this, and then it goes down. I mean, Martha Stewart got in trouble for that.
Absolutely.
But
Yep.
so that's the definition of insider trading, which is definitely illegal. To your point, I don't think she has to grease other wheels. I think she is the wheel being greased, because
Never
anybody
thought.
who's telling her that information knows it and is taking advantage of it himself, or is telling, maybe works for Nvidia's, high person, obviously, and gives her this information for a little favor later or a repayment of a favor. Look at it hit the news, and it's so messed up. It hit the news, was in the news for a couple of days, then it just disappeared. Before COVID, there was like 10 or 12 senators who shorted the market.
Yes.
And it was all, I mean, that's 100% illegal. Shorted the friggin' market so that when it goes down, you make money, and then it hits the bottom, and now you back and invest again and you make money. And if any of us had that information, you could make insane amount of money. I mean, just the one example that I looked at, Tesla, for example, not that because it's Elon, but just because it was an easy look up. This is a long time ago. You could have made like 8 times your money. So it was roughly $900 a share. It went as low as 150. Okay, so you made money on the way down, and then I think before it split, it went up as high as 1,400. So that's like, so you have whatever 300,000 into that one stock. That's an 8 folder. That's 300,000 is now 2.4 million. And,
Yeah.
you
So it's interesting you had said that because when I was watching something the other day on YouTube, and I do apologize, it's not off the script, but it's still with it, that there was a conversation that was happening where someone was asking the state senators some questions, state senate office, and the person said, so I take this money and I'm in the government and I give it to terrorist countries. Is that legal? So I'm supporting ISIS, I'm supporting something. Is that legal? Person says, yes, it is if it comes from the government. So the guy says, so now I own a business and I want to take my business money and support a terrorist group. Senate says that's illegal. You will go to jail for 20 years in the feds. So it's funny how the laws stipulate different values from who you are in power, right? So I found that very interesting when they said that. And also because we were discussing some Massachusetts people, I wanted to see who the most wealthiest person is in Massachusetts. Does anyone know?
I gotta guess.
Someone just comment down there.
I gotta guess. Pelosi was insider trading. Tom Titus. Pelosi was the queen. Insider.
Tommy T. But my destroyer. You're damn right she was.
I'm probably wrong.
But hold on. Here's to anyone out there. Who is the wealthiest person in Massachusetts? Go ahead, Chris. Your guess.
Probably wrong, but he's up there. Herb Chambers.
Here's the problem. You're so one way, Chris. How do you know it isn't another individual?
A female. I wish it was a female.
So
single.
For everyone that doesn't know, the wealthiest person in Massachusetts, it's worth between $31.3 billion to $33.1 billion. And you wouldn't believe it is a female named Abigail Johnson, and she, her father stepped down as the chairman and CEO of the Board of Fidelity.
I knew that.
Yep, and she is now the head of it. Yeah. I found that amazing. I find that proud that a female accomplished so much. She was a Harvard School graduate. I did research her. I found that incredible because I wanted to see if it was Pelosi, because I wanted to see what Michelle Wu made, what Maura Healey made. And the interesting fact, nothing would tell me what they make and what their net worth was. And I found that pretty interesting.
And not throwing any shade at all on Abigail, but how the hell did she get so much money? I mean, the salaries, she has a good salary, but not Not that way.
Listen, your family runs it, bro.
You know?
It's not like you don't come from it, and your net worth. You
Yeah.
know, hey, kudos to her.
Yeah, kudos
That's
to
all
her.
you
I
can
mean,
say.
I remember I looked that up a while ago. I sent her a friend request to see if she was single.
Listen, I think if she was, your wife would push you that way.
That could be boy toy.
That's it. So I find it interesting also. Elon Musk wrote on X platform late on Monday, which I do apologize because last week I was gone and I was out of the country and I was trying to get on the podcast, but for some reason YouTube is not accepted down there. So this was last Monday that this had occurred. That login using TAS code, right? Then sent to the Treasury in the office for management and budget for reporting to ensure money is spent. So he's explaining this is how the procedure is done. So every time you're taking out finances to go to somebody else, as Chris has stated, you're loaning $8 million to somebody, you have to attach a TAS code and then a description of that TAS code and what value it has in it. So and it goes into reporting and ensuring money is spent according to its intended purpose. The Treasury access symbol is TAS, is an identification code linking a Treasury payment to a budget line item. Okay, like an index. Like, hey, if I'm going to lend Chris this, I'm going to put him in. Chris owes me this on this such date. In the federal government, the TAS field was optional. Was optional is what it states on that. So if everybody wants to get a little tit for tat, they actually wrote on the field optional for approximately $4.7 trillion. How do you, well, obviously we know how you do it. You change a code because you're the government. You could do whatever the fuck you want in plain English, right? So now you don't want to describe what it is or use a TAS code. So now your new TAS code is optional. Then you take $4.7 trillion.
Mhm.
Come on, bro.
Because they know if you don't put the code in, it can't be tracked later on. You don't think they knew that? Because I mean, come on, how many line items are there? Probably a million or more, right? If not multi-million. So they do it on 95% of it, but on these particular ones, we're just going to leave out the code. But you sure the majority has the code because it's not funny money. They leave out the code on purpose, and they know that.
It's just like moreover, right? Proposed new deficits through tax cuts are currently being advanced by the GOP. We know this because we're seeing it. It's controlled by the House Budget Committee. Okay, so we're watching that happening. And Pocan, once again, we'll go back to Pocan because he was tweeting some stuff the other day. It's about finding the 4.7 trillion they need to fund the tax cuts for the wealthiest, including themselves. It's never about the middle class. They're robbing programs you benefit from enrich themselves. Corruption, right? So I'm finding it interesting that now people are standing up saying that, you know, the $4.7 trillion, they're basically saying the reason why they put optional on it was because they took the money for themselves and they were supporting the wealthiest people, not imagining that this would ever happen and they would be cut. They would be caught, I should say. So, this guy's basically stating that they're robbing programs to feed their own pockets. Now, not to change this, but I just want to say something. I watched this TV thing the other day, which was on Hulu, and it was called The Addicts. Okay, and it was about insurance companies. And Delray, Florida, has one of the biggest addict states around. I did not know this, Florida and everybody else. But to touch base on this, it was about health insurances and how if you're an addict, you're gold for them. You're gold. They got these things called hunters, junkie hunters, they're called in the program, where they go out. You're a recovering addict. You find people out in the streets. You find out what PPO plan they have, what insurance they have. Then you find them a place, and your goal is to get them in this place. And you get large sums of money. They get like $1,200 a urine for you. They over urine you. They do so many things. But it's funny because the politicians also get fed the funds for that. So you can open up a sober house and it's a revolving wheel. Like you could turn around and have an art class and a meditation class. Those are all codes that you can charge for. I want to start talking about those programs also too. I found that so interesting when it came to the government community.
You can get a 3-family and stuff, a couple, turn into a halfway house, you'd be making bank. A lot of people don't like Section 8 people, like if you have a rent it to Section 8, but my sister did. I rented one of her houses and she's like, yeah, well, the people can sometimes do some damage, but I get my check.
You get a check. I found that so interesting, and I was the only reason why I watched it. It was all underneath the discussion about the D.O.G.E program, and I found it so amazing where it was showing the politician and the growth of the insurance, and then it had to do with that Maggiano. I might be saying his name incorrectly. That killed that CEO, and his background and the CEO background, they almost matched. They were very successful in school and all this. They both came from a wealthy. It was so interesting, which I think we should bring that up next. But
before you move on to that Florida thing, they've been doing that for years, not just that part of it, but they would take as far away as Massachusetts. They'd put 15 people in a van, drive them down. They'd go to this doctor that they have prearranged with. The doctor would get paid his $200. He'd see all 15 people and they'd walk next door to fill the prescription, and they'd get whatever they get from the guy who's organizing it, and they would take the perks.
Chris, just to correct you, it's $3,600. It's $3,600 to basically for them to see that person for exactly 5 minutes, to sign this piece of paper, to commit them over to this detox center, because there's 3 steps. There's detox, then there's a step 2 where you're going to group meetings inside, which is another payment. Then it comes into being placed out in a sober home, and then what they look for is for you to go in that revolving wheel because you got that health insurance. So everyone's picking that pocket.
I wasn't referring to that. I was referring to the fact that, so they go to the doctor, they get the prescription next door, and they drive in the van back, and that's how they're getting their pills. That's how.
Okay.
So the guy who organizes it says, all right, whatever he does, I'll give you $50 and give me the pills, or you take a couple pills, and they drive them back, and they'll fill up vans full of people.
Yeah, I found that.
And strip malls is where doctors have their offices.
Dude, I found that. So it was like all entwining into one like conversation. I found that amazing. I was like, I would have never thought that, because D.O.G.E was setting into investigating on this, and then obviously the sadness of the murder of a person, which I believe a person being killed does not establish a correction in an entity. Like killing that guy did not establish a correction in insurance. That's sad. No, it doesn't matter. There is no. I watch people that were standing outside holding street signs saying, "Let this guy go. Let this guy." This guy just murdered someone. It's murder. It doesn't matter how you look at it. It's murder. And I'm not even gonna stop. We'll go on that. But also, what it was, the Treasury was one of the first agencies in D.O.G.E embedded itself in after the Trump inauguration on January 20th. Recently, Democrats have sounded alarms after the organization gained access to the Treasury and Department payment systems that manages trillions of dollars, right, of federal transactions, including Social Security and benefits and federal tax cut. This raises serious questions about it, right? And I found that pretty interesting in the oversight and the potential for misuse of such critical systems. I was trying to break that down in my head when I was reading it. So then I started hearing people, oh, now they have access to look at my stuff and this and that. Listen, if you ain't dirty, then don't worry about it. No one had a problem when Trump was running for office that they showed his tax returns with all his personal information on it, but that makes it okay. Okay. And another thing I want to say is, obviously we're still going on with this. What's really ticking me off, all the non-supporters of Trump, all the people that bash this guy and say whatever, and Elon's coming in. Oh, Elon's trying to run for president and trying to go against you, Trump. How do you feel? Plain English, they're not idiots. They know you guys are trying to play with your stupid terminologies. They're not stupid. They wouldn't be in the status they are if they believed every freaking Tom, Dick, and Harry. But what I found interesting was when Elon suggested to the president, maybe 20% of this should go back to the people since it was their money, right? all of a sudden, all these people that hated him, I still hate him, but I'll take the money. This is what I'm asking you on live here. Don't take the money. Send it back to them and say, I do not support your cause at all. Do not take that finance, because not only are you against D.O.G.E, which is giving you the opportunity to receive that fund, but you don't like the people that are doing it for you. And they're billionaires, and you just don't like it because you're not part of them. But I guarantee if they break bread and give you a couple, you're going to love them again. So shut your mouth in plain English. If you don't want the money and you don't want the people, send it back to them.
Absolutely. It's a hypocrite. I know people are sweating on the Elon Musk thing. Well, one, they're like, yeah, he wasn't, we didn't vote for him. Well, you don't vote for any cabinet members. You vote for the president and he puts in all his cabinet members. People don't vote for him. He picks them and they get pushed through Senate and Congress. So that's one thing. The other thing is people are sweating that, okay, yeah, he has access to the treasury. Oh my God, he has access to my name, my address, and maybe my social security number. Well, I've lost track of how many emails I've gotten from companies saying that our system has been, corrupted and an outside agency has gotten hold of all
Listen, not to cut you
your
off.
information.
Not to cut you off. I'm going to tell you something really fast. So I keep receiving this stupid thing from Citizen Bank, which obviously we know it's fake. I've gotten so fed up with it that I now am a member of LifeLock. So I said, forget this crap. I'm going to secure all my funds. I'm going to secure everything that I have, because now I've never received this many texts. So if I'm receiving something that much, and now like I've lost Facebook three or four times, I've lost Instagram at least 5 times, that means someone's encrypted into my system.
Well, they're into your email. I was more referring to I have Chase as one of my banks, and I've gotten legitimate emails from Chase saying our system has been corrupted, our store credit cards.
Yeah, Target.
Yeah. You hear about it all the time in the news. So that means your information is out there anyway. It's probably with some whatever Chinese company, but if nothing bad has happened to you, it's just because they have so many names, they just haven't gotten to you yet. Because those lists are worth. You break into a computer, forget about robbing a bank. You break into a computer, you get 3 million, 4 million, 10 million names and social security numbers. You can sell that on the black web for millions.
No, absolutely. But I find it interesting because it's like, the more and more I read about D.O.G.E, and somebody might be, reading the terminology a little more different than me. And obviously I'm looking at it my way. Chris is looking at it his way, and together we speak on this. But also, it's reportedly, like, I know the D.O.G.E is reportedly seeking sensitive tax information within the Internal Revenue Services, which I'm for, because I applied for the ERC, the Employment Retention client plan because I lost a lot of employees. And you had other individuals that did the same, but they didn't have any employees. They falsified their 941 summaries. They falsified all this. They got millions and millions of dollars. But people like me that did lose like I lost 40% of my business. I lost 40% of my staff individuals. I still had to pay out. And so all these other people that didn't, and I have no problem. Come in, check my taxes, check everything, because guess what I'm not doing? I don't play with the IRS, and I don't play with my mother. Other than that, everybody else can screw off. But it's like last week, Gavin Kleiger.
Oh, sure.
It was Gavin. I remember he's part of my thing. I do apologize. I think it's Gavin Kleiger, and a 25-year-old top D.O.G.E associate aide. Right? He visited the District of Columbia's Internal Revenue Service office to examine the system. According to the sources from both CNN and Washington Post, can't stand CNN, but Washington Post, you're still limited with me. According to the Post, Kleiger has been working in the Office for Personal Management, which has heavily involved in Musk's work to slash government programs. He is expected to serve as a senior advisor to the acting IRS commissioner, provide engineering assistant, and consult in modernizing their IT. All right. So the initiative spearheaded by Musk, which we know, raises significant questions about financial management, which we've been discussing, and accountability in our government. It's what's particularly fascinating is the role of the tech billionaire, right? in a government department, it brings up concerns about the implication of privatizing government functions and whether individuals like Musk can truly bring about effective changes in the public finances, right? That's what everyone's saying. Like, how do you grab a person that just basically built, and I'm only saying this because I'm trying to figure out how you can't. This guy, basically, whatever, his father, Africa, South Africa, wherever they were from, and this kid went on his own and decided this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get into tech. I'm going to build this. I'm going to build that. Builds his own NASA program, builds all this, develops all these AI products and investigation things. And how can I trust him? How can I not? This guy can't get any wealthier, and how is he going to steal money from us? I don't understand what the sense value of it and why these people are so unfair of him stealing money.
Right. I mean, wouldn't you want the person handling your money, whether it's a stockbroker or anybody, wouldn't you want the person handling your
There
money?
you go. I never thought about
Right.
that. You're trusting a stockbroker.
Right. But having so much money that he doesn't give a crap about yours. And I heard you mention it, throw it out there, private, these people are scared. Oh, he wants to privatize the federal government. Well, after I saw that, I checked that out. There's 2.25 million federal workers. What's he going to do? Have a big job fair? I mean, it's like, seriously, to hire 10,000 people would be unbelievable. But, like you said, the fact that he wants to steal their money when he has more than enough of his own, and he doesn't really give a shit about our money.
But what I find interesting, and I'm just going to go to a street level. So I'm hearing from people that speak to me going, well, that means he's going to have my information. He can sell my information. And I sit there and I go, listen, I remember when I did that thing, Ancestry 123 or whatever it was. And I have a habit of reading things, believe it or not. And when I read this thing, and everyone's like, oh yeah, you just sign it and then do it. I read it and kept reading it. And on it, it said that unless I check these little boxes off, they can sell my DNA. They can sell all my information to China and all that. So if I don't check off all these little boxes, and these boxes were so small, Graz, I am talking, they were minute. They were almost like the size of a pinhole, a pinhead, I should say. And when I read that, and I'm in my head, I'm thinking to myself, how many people actually sat here and read that? And the only reason why I did read it, to be honest with you, was Joe Rogan, when he protested TikTok a long time ago. He said, did anyone ever read the disclosure of it? And he started reading the disclosure. And these were little disclosures that were in there saying, once you load TikTok in, they get all your phone information, they get all your banking information, that in the agreement of having it downloaded onto your phone, they have the right to open up any app that's on your phone. So I found that interesting, the amount of people that automatically downloaded TikTok that are on,
except all cookies, like people always do.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I find that so interesting that you're not in fear of something so simple as watching a TikTok video of some idiot doing something and blowing them up with 100,000 views for doing something stupid. And now you've just let them invade into your phone and grab everything that you have on there. Like personally, I have my banking information on my phone. It's locked to triple authentic, where you have to authenticate it. So now I know it's already happened twice where they sent me an email. I said, nope, that's not me. And I deny it. But I find that interesting that you just gave rights to TikTok to do that.
Yeah. And a lot of them won't let you go unless you do it. Here's a good one for you, how quick crime can happen. So working like a year and a half ago, I was working at the airport or whatever. One of the employees came up to me. He's like, yeah, I just got robbed. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, this kid asked me to use his phone. Like this 14-year-old kid asked me to use his phone. I'm like, oh yeah, I got to call my mother. He's like, okay. So he gives him the phone, and the kid opens.
Tell me he cashed up, because I've heard this over and over again.
He Venmo'd out his checking account. I mean, it would take me 5 minutes to do it, but
it used to be 20. I couldn't figure that crap
out.
out.
The kid could do it so fast, and actually, he had to pretend he's talking on the phone and everything else, to whoever he was talking to, and he Venmo'd out in like fucking seconds. And the guy was there. It wasn't like he walked away. And
wow.
Venmo'd out his cash. And it's like, it's a dangerous place. Think about when you go to Dunkin' Donuts and you hand your credit card to the person because nobody carries cash. You hand my credit card to me, I got it inside the window, picture, front and back.
Yeah.
Now I can charge whatever I want.
You know what's funny? So when me and my wife travel, I tend to carry cash because I hate using credit cards. I love my American Express because if they see anything that happens, I could just say it wasn't me. And we go to visit her family. She's from California. And her father said to her, never trust a man that carries so much cash. And I laughed because she's obviously Asian descent. And every Asian person I've ever known, they always carry just cash, and her family carries cash. So, but it was wrong because I only carry cash. I thought that was kind of funny, but because I do have fear of that, because I've had friends of mine that things like that just happen. So let's get back to Doge fast.
All
We
right.
drift up. When we talk about recovering taxpayers' money, right? We must also consider, which I wrote, the broader context. Is this recovery a testament to the accountability of it? Or is it merely a political maneuver to get us to look left and not look right? With former President Trump also in the spotlight regarding financial matters, the conversation around the money and accountability in politics is more relevant than ever. So do you think, like other people, and the reason why I added that, obviously I'm a supporter of him. So, and you know, it is what it is. But do you think that, because I'm trying to look at it on both ends of it, do you think they're trying to have us look at something over here and say, look at all this money, but they're playing their game over here? Do you feel there's anything in that?
I honestly don't think so. The best part about
Right.
Trump being in his second term is that he doesn't have to worry about a third term. He can kind of a little bit more freedom to do what he wants.
I could definitely see he's more
You know,
comfortable.
I think he's a little, something, you do a job the first time and then you get a break, which is whatever. And then you go back and do it a second time, you're going to do a better job at it. I don't care what it is, whether you're, doing something around the house, your job, right? Because you've had experience, right?
Yeah,
You know what to expect, you know how things work. But yeah, I think he can work a little bit more, and not worry about what people think. He can work faster. He knows. Now, there's a lot of people don't think, oh, well, he has 4 years to do it. Well, 4 years is a long time, not a long time. But he also knows that he has 2 years before potentially the Senate and the Congress can flip, because their elections is in less than 2 years.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
If that flips, now his 4 years becomes 2, because things are going to get a lot more difficult.
Right.
So that's why he's moving at high speed. And frankly, he has a lot to friggin' fix.
He does.
I don't think
absolutely
it's
right.
political.
And let's not forget, though.
JD Vance 2028. Yay.
Damn right. And let's not forget the implication on Elon Musk also is being at the helm. He's not just a tech Mongol, right? Had to look up that word because I always thought the Mongol was like somebody that oversaw bad people.
Mogul. Yes, tech mogul.
Mogul. So it's not Mongol. It's not like Mongol. Okay.
No, Mongol's like that guy who.
Mongol. All right. That's what I was trying to think.
Yeah.
All right. See, that's why you're here, bro. That's why you're here. As Catherine White would say, I need a speech therapist. All right. Don't worry, Catherine. I still got mad respect in you, boss. And he is polarizing figure who stirs the pot on social media and beyond. Some folks love him, which I absolutely do, while others can't stand him. It's like the Red Sox versus the Yankees. Everyone has an opinion and debates are inevitable. So we know it doesn't matter how we say or what we say and how we can have this over here as a positive income, a thought, but we know we're always going to get hit by damage in parts of it. Just like if they want to sit here and want to talk about who they like, they know they got to hear negative things by us. It's an ongoing thing. And we both understand that. And speaking of debates, we want to clear from you, our listeners, what do you think about the D.O.G.E initiative? Is it a brilliant move to recover taxpayers' money, or is it another government gimmick? Shoot us your thoughts, and maybe we'll feature it in the next test when we're on. And let us know what you guys all think. Chris?
I think it's a good thing. I don't want my tax dollars wasted. And sometimes I go back to it, but federal government, God knows where all the money goes. But look at it at home. I think $480 million of our rainy day account, which is our savings, right?
Yeah.
Was just spent to extend the and nothing against them, against the illegals and the room and boards. It's she, it's like, I don't know. And she wants the federal government to help her. The federal government shouldn't have to help you. And I don't want the federal, even though it would help me, I don't want the federal government to help her because it's a problem that we initiated. So
That's right. That's right. We're all about open discussion here at Security Tales, especially when it comes to topics that get the people talking. So grab your Dunkin' Donut coffees, settle in, and let's dive deep into the next conversation. Hey, listen, once again, you can hit us up on Facebook, or you can just basically write into Security Tales and tell us your questions, help us get more followers, get us more interactive in here. We also, and I didn't have a moment to speak to Chris about this, but we will have a guest on next week. So in case some of you don't know, my wife is a medical doctor and she does HRT and things like that. But we will be discussing HRT replacement, which is hormone therapy treatments that come up and what's the positive and negative. We will be blessed to have one of her associates, Alan, who oversees a company corporation, a major company, which I'll leave alone, and you will see it broadcasted on my Facebook. And then after that, we will be having a very dear close friend of mine since we were 14 years old back in the Club 54 days. It's going to be him and his brother. Came from absolutely nothing, and I'm very welcome to have an opportunity to just talk to him. And me and Chris and freaking all of us, three close friends. Like I said, I don't bring friends on; I bring family members on. And his name is Peter DePisa. He's the owner and operator of Golden Banana Squires, and he also previously, him and his brother, purchased the tent outright. And when I hear the stories about his failures and success. And we're going to touch base on all this. Once again, we're bringing everything to this show. We'll also be bringing up some political conversations with him and discussions on how this has affected him, financial wise and everything. So I'm looking forward to it. And then hopefully Chris can get in touch with some of his old crew and get some of them in here so we can have some good state trooper stories and stuff. And I'm still pushing Chris. I'm dying for him to bring in that beautiful poem that he wrote for his K9 who passed from the Mass State Police Department. But
I will next week. Oh yeah, I will next
week. I might have to help him do that, which I'll graciously do. I think at times we need to honor some people, and sometimes sadness brings some happiness, and sometimes we just got to understand we're only here for the moment. We're only here to leave a footprint, and we always got to remember people by loving them and always keeping them in our memories. But God bless everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in. Anything from you, Chris?
Oh, thank you very much. Keep safe. Keep your family safe, and health, wealth, and wise, and everybody be good. And give us some stuff for next week.
Thank you, everyone. Be blessed. Once I figure out how to hit finish, boom, off air. Goodbye, everyone. Please read the shirt. It says freedom.
Man, this place is hot.
Did get hot, huh?
Yep.
Had to bring